Hello, this is Olga checking audio.
Olga, this is Luis.
Hi, Olga.
Very fine.
Gracias,
You
Luis.
all heard. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, Olga.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's Jen checking audio and video. Please let me know if I can be seen and heard.
Hi, Jennifer. This is Anya. I can hear you, but I wasn't be able to see you.
Oh.
Would you mind? Okay, now I can see you. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Works great.
Yeah, I can call you. Can you hear me?
Isabel, yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
We can see you perfectly. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hello, this is Kusai Al-Shati. Just want to make sure that you're hearing me and viewing me.
Hi, Kosai. Yes, we can hear you and see you.
Thank you. Hi,
Thank
Olga.
you.
Hello,
Hello.
everybody.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Hello. I don't know.
Yes,
what
hello.
problem.
Who is speaking?
Tanara.
Hi, yes, we can hear you. We cannot
Thank
hear.
you.
We cannot see
And
you.
can you see me?
No, I cannot see you.
I don't know what's happened.
Let me just check Tanara. No, I mean, it's black screen.
Hi, Tanara. This is Luis, IGF Secretariat. Thank you, Anya. It seems it's in your camera because you have the camera actually open. So it's something, maybe you are selecting another camera or something from a laptop which is closed. So the camera is sending signal, but it's black. Next to the camera symbol at the bottom, you have an arrow to select the device.
Okay. Let me try.
Hi, Makane, we can see you. Still, we have not heard you.
Flavio, I see you asking in the chat whether we can hear you. Now we can
Yeah.
see
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
can hear
No,
you.
I was not as a speaker here. So I was.
Yeah, I
but
just
now
moved you.
now it's fine. Yeah.
Works. Thank you.
Anya, just a question to you about the polls.
Yes.
Are we launching each of them at the beginning of each of the blocks?
Actually, let me do that test now. I think I can only, let me check. Actually, yes, I can launch. Luis, can I ask you for your advice? You can see them, right?
I
Can
can. Yeah, I think that you created only one. It means
Yeah,
that
as
you created
a-
one with several questions. So you will need to launch it
Yeah.
at the same time.
I can make them separate quickly, Flavio, if you think that's better to launch questions.
I don't know.
at once.
I leave this to you if you think it's
Yeah.
better, because anyway, the results we would show
At the
very
end.
quickly at the end. Yeah,
Yes.
at the end of the session. Yeah, if we have time.
Exactly. So I'm thinking if we maybe to launch all four at the very beginning and just leave it open. Let me see. Can I do a test now, Luis? Nothing will happen, right?
You can. I don't know if people can later change their vote.
Correct. No, I can't guarantee that participants will not vote.
I mean, you just need to decide if you want it separated or together. I mean,
Well, let me see. I'm going to launch, but I'm not going to allow panelists to vote. I think there are two options here. So let me see. So what do you see?
we're seeing the one for the next session, Anya.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, now should be a correct one.
Yeah, we are seeing two.
So you
The
see,
two first ones. Yeah.
You can go
Oh,
down
no,
and
we
see
see
the
all of them. If we scroll down, yeah, we see all the four of them. Yeah.
so should I leave all four, or you want me to make them? Because Flavio, here's the issue, right? I can make them separate, but then
Yeah,
with
I
each
think
block,
it would be best, yeah, to separate them and launch each of them at the beginning of each block.
and that means that at the end of each block we stop with that question.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let me quickly do that in the background.
I confirm that you can launch the poll several times and you just get the results again. So just for your information.
Hello. Hello, what time are we supposed to start, please?
Hi, Makan, this is Anya.
Yes,
We are
Anya,
starting.
good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We can hear you. I don't think we can see you though, but the
Well, I
sound is
had
very good.
put it,
Oh, you didn't put the camera on. We have 10
I had
minutes to
put it
go.
on, but I put it off after.
Let me, okay. Yes, we can see you very well
Yes,
and
yeah.
hear you. So in 10 minutes we start.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we hadn't had the Tanara's camera for now.
Can you hear me correctly, Anya?
Hi, Lucian. Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. I
I'm
also
just,
activate my camera. It's a bit dark, but I guess you can see me.
Yes, we can see. It doesn't look dark from this side. Actually, it looks fine. Perfect. Works great. I'm just separating these pools quickly because we decided we're going to launch pool for each block, not everything at the same time.
Just to clarify, this is the NRI main session, and then we will continue in this same Zoom room with the high-level leaders track security. So this is what's going to happen in this Zoom room.
Yes, I think Flavio is aware, so we need to really finish the session on the hour.
We have a question here from Emanuela in the question and answer pod.
What is the question? Sorry, Flavio, if you can help me.
I am Emanuela. Have I used the right link?
Yes, you did. Emanuela, I'll move you now to the other side.
Yeah.
Actually, you are moved. Somebody moved Emanuela. Seems she dropped. I don't know. I can't see her in there.
Tanera, unfortunately, we can still not see your camera. It must be the device because the camera is open. As a suggestion, I would say to go to the button at the bottom with a camera and click on the up arrow next to it and be sure that you have selected the good camera. You can also go to video settings there, and it's like that you can have a preview of the camera signal that you are sending.
Hello? Anya, you are kicking off, right?
Hi, Mary.
Yes, Flavia, please.
Yeah,
Mary, we can. You're very faint.
Very faint, yeah.
Very faint, right?
Yeah, your sound is very faint, yeah.
Okay, my sound is very faint. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Me?
Yeah.
Is it better now?
Much better now.
Much better.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Okay. Because of bandwidth issues, I may not be showing my camera, so please, everybody should bear with me. But when I'm doing the introduction, I will show my camera, and after that, I will go. But
yeah, it's fine.
I'm happy to be here. Anya, you are kicking off, right?
In around 7-8 minutes, Mary. Yes.
Yes. But I'm saying that you are the first person to start.
So yes, I can start.
Yes, you can start.
I can announce you. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, are we going to observe the 1 minute before or during the meeting?
No,
1 minute silence?
Yeah, as agreed by the scenario, we're gonna do that at the very beginning.
I think.
So when I say a few words, then minute of silence, and then you, Mary, I'll announce you, and then you announce Flavio. Flavio goes into the first discussion block. I ask our speakers, in the interest of time, to also rely on chat for introducing themselves. So I think it's very important that, in addition, Flavio will say, for instance, Zaina from Lebanese IGF, but if you want, you can post in the chat more about yourself as a speaker. So that could be perhaps useful as a background for the participants.
Yeah, Luis, Emanuela Girardi is asking to be updated as panelist in the chat. I don't know if you can do that.
Well, yeah, we will promote Emanuela Girardi. Sure. Still, we don't have camera signal from Tanara, unfortunately. I think in the worst case, you can speak.
Thank you.
Audio.
It's working now.
Yeah, fine.
So Anya, in place of discussion, we'll just do the poll, right? Anya.
Sorry, Mary, I'm just changing the poll. I was asked to change
Okay,
that
all right, all
last
right.
minute. So
Okay, Flavo, is it in place of the discussion, we'll just do the poll?
You mean, which discussion do you mean?
You know, there's block discussion, there's 5 minutes discussion or something like that.
Yeah, we'll have the discussion. I will launch each poll at the, Anya will launch each poll at the beginning of each block.
Okay.
And then we will
right.
the results of the 4 polls only at the very end of the session.
Okay, then that's fine.
So we do not eat time
So
from the discussion at the end of each block.
Yes, but we are so the polls go throughout the blocks. We still keep 5 to 10 minutes depending on how speakers will keep their times for an open discussion. Okay, I think Flavio, let me just, since we have 5 more minutes to go, I'll just quickly do a test with these polls because I've changed them now as you asked me.
Yeah.
Okay, you see this one, that's the first one.
Yeah,
it's working fine.
So that's the second one.
Yeah, it's fine, yeah.
Okay, do you hear me?
This is the third one. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, it's fine, the third poll, yeah.
Okay, and the fourth one is this. So it works.
Yeah, it works, yeah.
Great.
Fine.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Is it Timofey? How do you pronounce your name?
My name is Timofey V. I'm from Russia, from Ano dialect. I represent the Russian delegation today. Thanks.
Thank you for connecting. Yes, sound and video is good. Okay, I think we have a couple of new speakers, so I'm going to promote them as panelists.
Anya and Luis, Roberto Sambrana is asking to be included as...
Yes, I did. I just promoted Roberto.
Yeah.
Anya, are you going to show the NRIs that are participating? Did you do the board for them?
I am going to display the announcement.
Okay, then that's fine.
Just the announcement flyer of the session.
Hello, Anja and Flavio. How are you? Hello, everyone.
Hi, Roberto.
Hi, Roberto.
Hi, Roberto.
Hi, Mary.
Okay,
Nice
I see
meeting you.
Nick.
Great to see you all.
Hello,
good to see you.
Tester.
Hi, Dustin. We can't see you though, Dustin, if you want to test your... Yes, we can. Works.
Is Zene from Lebanon going to speak?
Zaina, yes, Zaina is here.
Okay, she's here. Okay, right.
If you, since we have 2 more minutes, very quickly, I'll just call by first name. So we have, I think we have everyone, but let me double check. So we have Mary and Flavio as our moderators, Lucien, Isabel, Kosai, Tanara, Jennifer. I don't think Jennifer is here. So I think Jennifer is not here. Abdias or Leah, if you are here, if you could I mean on Miss Jennifer Lopez, not on Miss Jennifer Chang.
Hi, Anya, can you hear me?
Yes, are you
Yes.
here? Sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Great, okay. We can't see your video, we just can hear you. Okay, now yes, works perfectly, thank you. So we have Tanara as well. Mr. Timofey will come in the discussion block. Emanuela is here. Osvaldo is not here, so I'm gonna quickly text him now. So Jennifer Chang is here. Dustin is here. Olga is here. Poncelet.
And Tanara's video, we have it. Thank you, Tanara.
Poncelet. So Poncelet and Osvaldo, I'm going to call them now. Roberto is here. Felix is here. Zaina is here. Mahindranath is here. Nick is here. Makan. Carlos. Is Carlos here? Carlos as well. I've seen Mary and Marcel. I think they're both here. Yes. Let me search for the 3 missing speakers, but in any case, they're not among the first ones. Probably they're trying to join. Flavio, over to you and Mary to tell me when do we start. Do you want to start now or?
Yeah, we are ready. I think we should start that. We are at top of the hour. Yeah.
So officially and for the record, good afternoon from Geneva, good morning and good evening, depending on where you are. I want to thank you for joining the NRIs main session. This has been a tradition at every annual IGF meeting since 2016, the annual meeting in Mexico. My name is, for the record only, my name is Anya Gengo. I work for the IGF Secretariat, mainly with the colleagues that are running the national, regional, sub-regional, and youth IGFs. This is the main session of the NRIs that's been organized completely by the NRIs in a bottom-up, open, collaborative manner. It is focused on discussing the role of the internet in emergency situations. Before I give the floor to our dear co-moderators, Ms. Mary Oduma, coordinator of the West African IGF, Mr. Flavio Wagner, affiliated with the Brazilian IGF, we will start this session with a very sad, unexpected, shocking note, I have to say. It happened during this annual IGF meeting, which makes this meeting different, makes this NRI's main session different, sad, but at the same time, we are motivated by the great legacy that has left behind our dear colleague and friend, Ms. Marilyn Cade. Many of you know Marilyn. I think she does not need any introduction. Marilyn was endorsed to actually co-moderate with Flavio this session, and unfortunately, we were informed during the IGF meeting that Marilyn has passed away. It's a great loss for not just for the NRIs community, to which she gave such a strong support throughout the collaborative work throughout the years of the NRIs, but also to the entire internet governance ecosystem. She is deeply missed, but she will never be forgotten. In honor of the legacy of Ms. Marilyn Cade, in honor of her life, I ask all of you for a minute of silence. Thank you. Thank you very much. With this, I would like to give the floor back to our dear co-moderators. Ms. Mary Oduma will open this session. Mr. Flavio Wagner will follow with introducing the topic, our distinguished panel today, and the goals we want to achieve in the next less than 90 minutes. Mary, please, you have the floor. Mary, I don't think we can hear you. If Mary has issues, she did inform at the beginning, then I'm gonna ask Flavio to...
Can you hear me?
Yes,
can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Can
yes.
you hear me?
We
Okay.
can hear you.
All right. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to everyone, wherever you are joining from. This is Mary Uduma from West Africa IGF. I am the coordinator. And as we have heard from Anya, this is the NRI, the main session we normally hold during the IGF. Every IGF we have this NRI main session. And for this year, I have myself as co-moderator. As she said, it would have been Marilyn Cade, but in her honor, I am here standing in. And the moderator is Flavio from Brazil. And there are other speakers from all over the NRIs from Anya will be showing them, and they will be making some interventions, as the topic we have today is the role of internet in emergency situation, the role of the internet in emergency situation. We welcome you all to this main session. This session is organized by the NRIs in an open, bottom-up, consultative manner across all 131 NRIs. It will focus on concrete practices in which digital technologies can help people in emergency situations, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. We will hear from NRIs coming from different parts of the world, reflecting good regional balance as well as diversity in views on the session's topic. We know that the speakers will speak for only 3 minutes. Please, as we have 4 blocks of this program, and the first one will last, it will start from now and end around 16:55, and then Flavio will take up that. My colleague Flavio from Brazilian IGF. He will do a better introduction of himself. And when you speak, please speak slowly so that not only that others will hear, but that the interpreters would be able to interpret, and the captioner. Again, you can raise your hands. You can also type in your question in the question Q&A page, or you can chat. Please, every voice is important, and if you as you share, would also learn and take back to our countries. There will be polling, and when the polling comes up, please make sure you participate. And I think that's what I need to say now, and I hand over to my colleague, Mr. Flavio Wanga, to continue with the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mary and Anya. It's an honor to be here, co-moderating with you the session. And we, of course, miss very much our dear friend, Marilyn Cade. She should be with us in this session. She was a champion of the NRIs. And so this session is in her honor also. So let's move then to the first block. And we have a poll for you. We will have a poll at the beginning of each of the 4 blocks of this main session. And the polls will remain there until the end so that you can respond to them when you wish. But please engage with us and respond to the polls. So this first session is, the first block is on the Internet for World's resilience. So emergency situations such as the COVID-19 show that the internet plays a central role amidst tough restrictions, such as in remote work and study, personal communication, service delivery, and so on. In situations like this, did the internet make your communities more resilient, and how? So this is the first question we have to our speakers, and we will have here as discussants of this first question, Mr. Lucien Castex from the France IGF, Ms. Isabel Cristina de Avila Benitez from the Colombia IGF, and Mr. Qusay Al-Shati from the Arab IGF. So, Anya, if we can have the first poll on the screen, please, and then let's start with Monsieur Lucien Castex. So, Lucien, please, the floor is yours. 3 minutes, please.
Thanks, Flavio. Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Well, I'm Lucien Castex. I'm co-chair of the French Internet Governance Forum, and I'm representative for public policy of AFNIC and a member of the MAG. As we are in a plenary session of the Global IGF, I will switch to French. Internet et les technologies numériques ont joué un rôle central en cette période de crise sanitaire. Nous avons pu communiquer, continuer à échanger, à travailler ou encore à apprendre. En France, un état d'urgence sanitaire a été mis en place par la loi du 23 mars 2020. Un régime d'exception qui a notamment consisté dans un premier confinement national. Et comme vous le savez sans doute, nous sommes à nouveau confinés aujourd'hui en France. Les technologies numériques et les données sont au cœur de la lutte contre l'épidémie. Non sans poser des questions en termes de respect des droits et libertés fondamentaux, pierre angulaire de notre système de valeurs. Question houleuse qui a été débattue âprement à propos de la mise en place de mesures de suivi numérique des personnes ou de restrictions, par exemple, de liberté de circulation. C'est dans l'angoisse que l'homme prend conscience de sa liberté, pour reprendre le mot du philosophe français Jean-Paul Sartre, angoisse de sa liberté devant soi. La crise sanitaire nous fait prendre conscience de notre finalité, mais aussi de notre interdépendance. Le maintien d'un lien devenant essentiel pour continuer à faire comme à façonner la société, et là, Internet joue un rôle central. La pandémie de Covid-19 a montré l'importance d'une infrastructure Internet solide et résiliente, des points d'échange Internet jusqu'à la résolution DNS, à la possibilité de consulter un site, de lire un article ou de poster des contenus. Le FGI France est riche de sa diversité, je n'ai pas vocation ici à la représenter. La diversité des membres est grande. La crise nous a interrogés, par exemple, sur les modalités d'enseignement dans nos universités. Plusieurs organisations également viennent de lancer un programme destiné à accompagner la transformation numérique des petites entreprises et des commerçants. Pour ce qui est du FGI France lui-même, nous avons décidé, à l'aune de la crise sanitaire, de le découper en plusieurs segments. Le 27 octobre dernier, nous avons tenu notre plénière qui questionnait la question centrale de la polarisation d'Internet, et nous avons tenu également un atelier l'après-midi sur la responsabilité sur Internet, et 6 ateliers sont encore à venir pour entretenir et laisser le temps à la réflexion. Le prochain est en décembre, et ce jusqu'à juin. 3 sujets ont été issus des réflexions du comité d'organisation. D'une part, les nouvelles fragilités numériques révélées par cette crise sanitaire, de l'accès, de l'équipement, aux nouvelles formes d'électronisme, des acteurs formés, parfois perdus dans les outils, par des nouveaux usages en ligne. C'est aussi un nouveau rapport au service public, c'est aussi un rapport à la pauvreté. Ce sont ensuite les défis écologiques de la transition numérique. Et enfin, c'est l'importance des territoires. Et pour chacun de ces sujets, Internet est au cœur de la réflexion. Merci.
Thank you very much, Lucien. So I call now Miss Isabel Cristina de Avila Benitez from the Colombian IGF. So please, Isabel, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Hello to my fellow panelists and everyone who are joining us in discussion. I am a Managing Director of Ministry Information Communication Technology of Colombia. Thank you to the Internet Governance Forum for this invitation. It's absolutely true when we say the affirmation that the Internet is an enabler for the common economy, reactivity in different countries around the world. In Colombia, the 96% of the companies are medium, small, and micro small, And before pandemic, just 12% of the company had a digital process for the productivities of the business. However, the Colombia government has been constructed a public policies and facilitate the different technological tools that allow our companies to be more competitive, and they could consolidate after pandemic. An important example about the public policies are the legal instruments of the digital transformation and the cybersecurity. The companies, without taking into account the size of the organization, they begin the digitalization of the process and the strategies for increase the sales, the customer, and the financial resource. In the other hand, about technological tools from the Minister Information, Communication, and Technology of Colombia, we are giving to the companies that don't have a web page and any presence in the internet, a special kit of dominant.co, one dominant.co totally free, a hosting of the 1 gigabyte, 3 corporate email accounts, and a web page for increase the benefits of their business. In Colombia, we understood that the internet is the most important tools and strategy for overcome the crisis generated by the COVID-19. In Colombia, we are working in this moment to increase the connectivity in all our territory. Right now, just 50% of the families in Colombia are connected. We want to connect 20% more in 2022. Actually, it is the principal issues about the digital policies in Colombia. All our strategies are around achieve that the people in Colombia use the internet for education, for business, work, among other things, important things for the society in Colombia or citizen in Colombia. The very important things for the government is to get better lives for Colombian citizens through the promotion of the access to the internet. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for your contribution, Isabel. So let's move to our third speaker in this first question, which is Mr. Qusay Al-Shati from the Arab IGF. So Qusay, floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Flavio. And let me start my intervention with remembering my dear colleague, the late Marlene Cade, wish her soul to rest in peace. And I am honored today to join the NRIs session with this wonderful audience and panelists to talk about such an important issue, which is the role of the internet in emergency situations. There is no doubt that the internet proved to be the most critical, important tool for us within the unprecedented pandemic that we experienced since the beginning of this year, where we were confined to our geographical location and were unable, due to health issues, to move around, whether for business or leisure or meeting family and colleagues. There is no doubt that the internet helped to ease this limitation and to overcome it, whether in having our essential needs, whether it is in logistics, whether in socially interacting with our colleagues, friends, and family members, or running our businesses. Although we have direct broadcasting like TVs and radios, we were mainly seeking our information from the internet, and the internet was the main channel for us of communicating and outreaching and to receive information, whether about the pandemic or the situation of, let's say, the curfews or the situation of our businesses, or hearing the news about it, whether the news about the situation of COVID nationally or regionally or globally. So the internet proved to be the main tool for that. In such case, like in Kuwait, and because of the importance of this tool for government to send its information, to diffuse its information instruction to the public, or for other businesses and for the communities. The government, for example, subsidized the access to the internet during the months of March and April, whether mobile or fixed lines, for the capacity of 5 gigabytes. That's including the 5G access. This is to give all the access and the possibility of access for everyone in order to receive information, whether it's from government, health services, or try to acquire their necessities and to run their businesses. Many trends, new trends has been set. We are working remotely right now, and we get used to work remotely and running our businesses remotely, and let's say buy and sell remotely, acquire our main or basic needs remotely, communicating with the friends and family members, whether they are close or far remotely. Some of these trends will not be only during the COVID-19 pandemic. Some of these trends will be set as permanent trends because we get used to it and we have noticed how practical it is. For example, let's online meetings.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
could you please conclude, as we are running out of time, please?
Okay. Some of these trends will remain as main trends, will go beyond the COVID-19 situation. It will be as permanent trends. For example, collaboration online, meeting online, and meeting with business partners, or even the logistic services. This will be permanent trends during which will pass the pandemic of COVID-19. So the internet has proved to be a crucial tool to us, and the most important outbeating by far other means of communication, like direct broadcasting, TVs and radios. And I'll stop here and thank you.
Thank you very much, Kosai. So the COVID-19, for example, is an emergency that has also exacerbated a number of digital policy issues. So our next question to our speakers is, which issues were particularly relevant in your communities in this regard? And we have first Ms. Tanara Lauschner from the Brazil IGF. So Tanara, please.
Thank you, Flavio. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Tanara Lauschner, and I am the current coordinator for the multi-stakeholder organizing committee of the Brazilian IGF, which is held annually since 2011. The year 2020 has been a challenging for the internet in Brazil and for the country as a whole. Since the beginning of March, with the rise of coronavirus cases in Brazil, people began being quarantined and social distancing became common language. Thus, with more people at home, internet infrastructure began being pushed more than usual, forcing a rise in traffic peaks on a daily. As several other countries have done, Brazil has also acted and applied measures to mitigate the fallouts inherent to the period of severe conditions posed by the coronavirus outbreak, seeking to ease the traffic pressure and leverage the resilience of its network in a time of great demand for traffic. Government authorities convened several different stakeholders, including big telecommunication providers and task forces, to design and apply measures to face the new challenges posed to the national infrastructure. On a positive note, Brazilian connectivity infrastructure also relies upon a broad ecosystem of internet exchange points spread all over the country. Designed to handle heavy broadband traffic. While the internet in Brazil faced a traffic increase, the internet exchange points operated by the Brazilian Network Information Center, NIC.PR, have been dealing well with peaks over 11 terabits per second. Brazil also powered up discussions on fake news and disinformation. The pandemic made clear that the internet plays as a central role in situations of tough restrictions. People need to be well connected to have access to update information, mitigation measures, public authorities' guidance, and so on. This access also shows the complex issue of dealing with disinformation in a time when citizens need to be oriented to help society overcome challenges. In this sense, several well-known individuals have been raising lots of concerns about the disinformation crisis in the country. The Brazilian Congress is now debating a draft bill that tries to mitigate the spread of fake news and disinformation. Nevertheless, experts and stakeholders have been raising concerns about the risks that this proposal may pose, especially with regards to freedom of expression, communication, privacy, and data protection, as well as innovation and business models. Finally, on behalf of the Brazilian NRI, I would like to share our condolences for the passing of the Mrs. Marilyn Cage. Her legacy will not be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tanara. So let's move to Ms. Jennifer Lopez from the Panama IGF. So Jennifer, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Flavio. As my colleague said before, COVID-19 pandemic has remarks on the importance of open and transparent governance, access to information, and ethical digital standards related to privacy. And data are vital aspects to consider before, during, and after an emergency. Panama has made significant progress in digitalization and is in the face of identifying several challenges and opportunities in things such as infrastructure, internet penetration, specialized human resources, public policies, regulatory framework update to help close the existing digital divide. As a result of the impact coronavirus has on the lifestyle we had, we must work from home due to quarantine. However, not the entire population has the computer equipment or internet service required to do so. Just on February 18, Law 126 began to apply, establishing and regulating teleworking in the Republic of Panama, and amends an article of the Labor Code. It is a great achievement from the crisis product of the COVID-19 pandemic, and finally, which helped to update our labor code with the use of information and communication technologies and international trends in the new digital age. The state of emergency caused by the pandemic alarmed us on data processing, resulting in a deployment of measures to protect citizens' privacy and prevent attacks on their cybersecurity. The development of applications focused on the evolution of the pandemic and security in both the public and private sector was high, as efforts were mostly directed at the financial sector and telework, where the threat to cybersecurity increased with interactions. An electronic administrative site, panamadigital.gov.pa, was established as the sole portal of the citizen, which will allow the integration of all channels, media, and platforms established by public entities for the execution of online procedures, in addition to their consultation and follow-up by us users. Law 144 of April 15 considers the rules for the protection of personal data and limits public servants' access to sensitive user information. The government created agencies such as the National Direction of Government Innovation Projects and the Direction of Innovation and Technological Transformation as facilitating entities in the Digital Government Modernization Project and responsible for the formulation and implementation of innovation projects. It also provided that public entities should include within their annual budget the funds needed for the fulfillment of their digital agenda. To solve the economic problems of citizenship, the government created the Panama Solidario Plan, which provides a voucher for the purchase of food and medicines. It works by using the ID card in all markets and drugstores around the country. To verify the available credit, it is needed to enter a governmental portal where personal information of the beneficiary is used, such as the ID and full name. In this sense, I can mention that even though it is private data, in order to access it, it is required for the person to place the ID number and to confirm their identity by means of other control data that only the person knows. Focusing on a freer, more accessible internet with less vigilance and greater privacy is essential because information, for example, is a digital right for everyone. COVID-19 pandemic has dramatically enhanced the role of digital communication technologies in everyday life. Although resolving complications across cybersecurity and privacy will require new norms and policies, the challenges are a lot and so the chances too. Considering the short-term and long-term challenges faced by the government, the active progress of digital technology and the changes in related applications such as digital government and social impacts, Panama can be expected to pay increasing attention to relevant policy measures. Also, influences from yes.
Yeah, yes, could you
Okay,
please conclude?
I will conclude soon. Also, influences from the COVID-19 pandemic and other emergency situations will only encourage that to take advantage of the power of digital innovation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer. So we have already signed up for intervention in this block, Mr. Timofey from the Russian Federation. So the floor is yours, but please be very quick as we are already over the time of this block.
Sure, sure. First, I'd like to thank organizers for the opportunity to enlighten our experience and ideas across the subject. Well, nobody would doubt that once in crisis, society claims higher demand for reliable information, but there is a pitfall. Reliable information is not enough as long as it is not packed in some empathic, vivid, and understandable form. Moreover, we have to actually hunt for people's attention. As a matter of fact, being online, they have plenty of other stuff to look at. To ensure that, a special information coordination center has been set up in Russia to manage all the public communications of various state ministries and authorities around the subject of coronavirus. While doing that, more than even before, we faced all the challenges modern technologies could actually raise. On the one hand, internet, social networks, and last but not least, instant messengers have become a main entity for spreading fakes and misleading information. Some of them could be funny labeled hoax about helicopters, I guess you had that, flying around cities and spraying disinfectant. But also there were fakes that carried direct threat to people's health and life. Such stories regarding incorrect methods of prevention and treatment of coronavirus disease could lead to denial for fundamental medical care and as a result end in real human death. Frankly speaking, the pandemic of fakes did not miss our country. The level of anxiety and the risk of social disunity in society was quite high. People were rumoring different stories from jokes around vodka threatening coronavirus to some mystical conspiracy engaging global state and Bill Gates trying to cheat the whole world. To fight that, we've transformed all the official communication into different forms of media which regular internet users are used to actually consume among their normal internet behavior. These forms varied greatly from official state accounts and pages on social media platforms to integration and collaboration with popular bloggers and influencers. The big win was when we launched more than 60 official regional Telegram channels, each corresponding to a state regional anti-coronavirus headquarters. They coped well with both distributing official and reliable information and debunking fakes. For example, once we found a fake about some criminals pretending to be epidemiological service who allegedly were infiltrating and robbing homes under that cover. Within 30 minutes, we got a response from the police that there was absolutely no basis for that story to be true. Police released an official statement, and within a few hours, we have distributed an exposure of that fake across all 85 regions of Russia. In partnership with larger social networks, we established a shortcut mechanism of removing fake content in minutes after detection. Well, to sum up, internet has brought us a serious challenge for social integrity and health, but simultaneously it gave us a direct way to establish trustful communication in between authorities and people, where we as a state could provide openness, empathy, and ability to speak the same language. As a result, we have raised a lot of experience and we are ready to share it without any limitations. We are planning actually to hold the International Anti-Crisis Conference on September 2021. So I would like to invite all of you, if the epidemic situation will be satisfactory, meet in person in Russia and discuss actual practices and approaches to struggle information crisis. Now I'd like to all drop a message in our chat if you think that such an event could be useful or not. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Timofey. So we are all over the time of this first block. We don't have specific questions in the chat, so we will try to move to the second block of this main session, which will deal with technologies helping people. I would ask Enya to launch the second poll for this session. We will try to look at examples of good practices for combating emergency situations using database technologies and emerging technologies. And we have 3 speakers. First from Italy IGF, Ms. Emanuela Girardi, from the Dominican Republic IGF, Mr. Osvaldo Larenquent, and from the Asia Pacific IGF, Ms. Jennifer Chang. So let's start with Ms. Emanuela Girardi from the Italy IGF, and please, all the speakers, no more than 3 minutes, as we need to stick to our time. So
I will try.
Please.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everybody, and thank you for inviting me. And I'm part of the IGF Italy, of the program committee of IGF Italy. And today I would like to bring the Italian experience in using data and AI technologies to tackle the COVID-19 crisis. So in March 2020, the pandemic hit Italy, and Italy had been the first European country to face the emergency and was not at all prepared. But the Italian community of AI researchers and scientists joined together and developed several concrete proposals to help government, health institutions, and doctors to face the health emergency. So today I will quickly mention 3 initiatives very relevant. The first one on bioinformatics, the second on image analysis, and the third that has already been mentioned by the Russian colleague and also by the Brazilian colleague about infodemic. So bioinformatics. A group of scientists used AI algorithms to analyze the protein and the molecular data and to provide inputs for drug repurposing activities. So the analysis and the data set that provided by this group had been very useful for the scientists who were looking for existing drugs that didn't need for further authorization and that could be used immediately and directly to treat COVID-19 patients. Second, image analysis. So another group of scientists worked together with radiologists and doctors to collect CT scans and X-rays of patients with lung infection, both with COVID and not COVID infection. So they analyzed the data with AI image recognition algorithms, and they could provide a tool for making diagnosis faster, cheaper, and more manageable in the hospital process. The third one, infodemic, that has already been mentioned by the interview before me. And basically, like he said, during the crisis, we have all been exposed to a huge amount of COVID-19 information or misinformation, fake news. And as he said, not all of these were reliable information, and it was making it very hard for people to find trustworthy sources and reliable guidance when they needed it. So another group of scientists in Italy, they used an AI model to analyze the social media data and to identify and monitor this overload of unreliable information. And they built an infodemic index. So this index has been a very useful early warning signals for the Italian governments to evaluate the impact of the policy that they were developing and to monitor the emotions and the sentiments of the citizens. Consider that at the beginning of the pandemic in Italy, this index was at a level of 30 out of 100. And after 3 weeks of the lockdown, the official communication started and the policy started, and the index went down to 3. So it reduced dramatically the disinformation and fake news. Okay, so since there are, we developed several initiatives, but I'm also very interested in hearing and learning from the experiences of the other countries. So I thank you, Flavio, and I give you back the floor.
Thank you very much, Emanuela, for the very relevant contribution to the question here. So now let's move to Mr. Osvaldo Larenquent from the Dominican Republic and IGF. So please, Osvaldo, floor is yours. 3 minutes, please.
Okay. Hi, everyone. First of all, please let me congratulate the previous participants related to this subject of role of the internet in emergency situations. Looking at the samples of good practices for combating emergency situations using database technology and emerging technology, a group of researchers from our country, Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, and Argentina, formed an interdisciplinary team to learn about some conditions experienced by elderly after social distancing due to COVID-19 imposed since March 19 in our country, in different parts of the world. The objective was to find out from the pandemic if the old people maintain an active life, what is the level of use of ICT to establish relationships, learning activities, recreation, and emotional state. The result of the research showed that the elderly of these samples remain active doing household chores, and they use ICT to communicate with family and friends, to learn new knowledge and recreation. We also check out in a scenario where no access to technology prevail in this group of age, and so that there was different emotions related to the use of technology and the not use of technology, considering the bonding relationship and new learning at this time as essential. We noticed that all people and the need to creating technology training spaces that reinforce intergenerational, interpersonal relationship and public policy can make sense in order to improve this group of people in adopting technologies. In another area, the Dominican government have been working on different digital agenda focus, and they have been practicing by providing public services via web in order to improve the possibility to access different services, certificates, tax paying, and things like that, that creates an opportunity for everybody to reduce timing and to, in this moment of digital, the COVID emergency, to have access to these different opportunities. This has proved to be very effective in these moments. And another area where the government have been applying database applications is for tracking or informing people using COVID apps based on Android or iOS platforms to provide services with the mobile. Using chatbots to allow people to auto-diagnose and determine if they are infected or not. This has been proven being effective since the epidemic authorities can track them based on privacy and data protection policies and complying with these different approaches. And as we know, in Dominican Republic,
Osvaldo, could you please conclude?
Yes, this is my final remark, that as we know, remote working, educational initiatives, and different apps to promote those services have been effective in our country situation in these emergency times. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Osvaldo, for your contribution. So now we have Miss Jennifer Chang from the Asia Pacific IGF. So please, Jennifer, floor is yours.
Thank you, Flavio. Hello, colleagues. My name is Jennifer Chung. I'm speaking with the hat of the Secretariat of the Asia Pacific Regional IGF on right now. Really wanted to applaud colleagues who've spoken before me about really effective solutions, that very innovative and effective solutions that many states and countries have found during this pandemic times. As we all know, Asia Pacific is a home of a really large, diverse region of different economies, developed, developing, economies in transition. And the COVID-19 pandemic itself has originated from this region, and lots of different ways of combating and mitigating the impacts felt were seen across the region. In fact, three states have been lauded as very successful in combating such crises, such as New Zealand, South Korea, and Taiwan, and also Vietnam. And it's really interesting because this turns the assumption on its head that it's only, you know, countries that are very rich in resources are successful in combating such crises. In fact, many developing economies in the Asia Pacific have also innovated very much during this period. In Taiwan, as an example, as an economy that was very successful in mitigating these risks, many people cited, you know, trust in the government and also the very effective rollout of different measures, such as contact tracing that doesn't require real name information, contact tracing that uses throwaway emails and prepaid mobile numbers, because a lot of people did have concerns of privacy when we're looking at contact tracing apps. Another example that we were discussing during APR-IGF was the problems that are faced by communities that are underserved, people with disabilities. In normal situations, in non-emergency situations, many of the information that reaches this community is already very difficult. And when you see the added pressure of COVID-19, this actually makes it worse. So we had the case study of Bangladesh government being very quick to respond to creating a separate channel with real text and also sign language videos to actually push real information out to communities that are vulnerable to this situation. And also in the context of time, I would like to really wrap up on the final point that is very important that was brought up during our discussions this year, which is learning during COVID-19. I think previous colleagues have already mentioned, because everything has been digitalized, the access gap, a digital divide has been even more exacerbated by all these conditions, and adapting to actually using different infrastructure. In the case study of Philippines, where we had students who actually had to climb trees to get to better Wi-Fi signals, really highlights the importance of having a very holistic system of looking at access, of looking at changing how we look at education for the students that are most vulnerable and least able to continue with their education lives. And I do notice that in our
would you please conclude that we?
Of course, yes.
3 minutes, yeah,
Including
please.
right now, I do see in the agenda, we do have a South Korean IGF colleague, so hopefully we'll hear more about the success stories there. Back to you, Flavio.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. So in discussing examples of good practices using technologies for combating emergency situations, let us now focus on vulnerable groups. And we have 2 speakers here. First one is Mr. Dustin Loop from the IGF USA, and then Ms. Olga Cavalli from the Argentina IGF. So Dustin, please, floor is yours. 3 minutes at most, please.
Thank you, Flavio. So on behalf of the IGF USA, I first wanted to thank everyone in the community for the outpouring of support for Marilyn. It's been a massive loss and she'll be greatly missed, but it's great to see her live on through all of you and your work. But like many of the other NRIs, COVID-19 has dominated the discussion at the IGF USA 2020. 4 of our 9 sessions referenced it in the title, and instead of giving a keynote to a single person, we compiled a video of people from across the US in different fields sharing their experiences, focusing on issues like connectivity, education, and ultimately the role that the internet played in everyday life in a way that it had not before. For example, there was a large healthcare provider that went from 1,600 virtual encounters in the entire month of February to over 60,000 per week in April. The Department of Corrections in Pennsylvania quickly expanded virtual visitation for inmates and their loved ones to safely visit. Workplaces went remote, and so did schools. The results were certainly a mixed bag, but a few themes emerged. First, both the providers and the recipients of these virtual services needed to have access to the internet devices and know-how in order to utilize them. The best practice here is having infrastructure and technology and knowledge in place prior to the spike in demand, although this of course does not always happen. Second, governments and other large decision-making institutions needed to understand the importance of the solution and respond accordingly. This could mean doing more or less. Telehealth provides a case for demonstrating this. Healthcare providers rapidly scaled their virtual offerings, and in some cases, practices went 100% virtual, continuing to provide much needed care to their patients. So what did it take for this to happen, and where did it fall short? One thing that we found is that the technology and functionality already existed, but there were economic, institutional, and regulatory barriers hindering this rollout. In response, we saw the national and local governments take steps to quickly make the necessary policy changes, some temporary, to pave the way for healthcare providers. With technology already in place and governmental decisions to relax privacy regulation, allow cross-jurisdictional medical care, and shift policies around insurance coverage for remote visits, providers were able to deploy solutions rapidly. However, as mentioned, virtual solutions require things to be in place on the recipient's end as well. And here's where we saw gaps as the digital divide exposed itself to the entire nation. We cannot provide virtual solutions during emergencies if the infrastructure in the broad sense of the word is not in place. Thankfully, there was a widespread movement by companies, including ISPs, as well as local, public, and private institutions that moved quickly to meet the connectivity needs and get people online to access the services they needed. What has become readily evident is that we need to develop sustainable solutions that are ready for the next emergency instead of rolling out temporary solutions each time, and the services, so that the services can reach everyone when they are needed and they don't have to wait on the technology to reach them.
Thank you very much, Dustin. Thank you for sticking to the 3 minutes. So, Olga Cavalli from the Argentina IGF. So,
Oi, Flavio, obrigada. Hello, everyone from Buenos Aires, Argentina. My name is Olga Cavalli. I represent the Argentina IGF, and I will share with you some interesting things about some rural activities that we had in the country. First of all, let me remind our dear Marilyn Kate. I'm sure she's with us in this moment because she was very active and she will always be with us. And congrats to the IGF Secretariat for a very successful IGF and this very good session organized by colleagues. So Argentina is a federal country with 23 provinces and one, the federal capital, with a vast geography. So in normal time, we had no formal borders in between these provinces, but during COVID, there is no way to move along the provinces. There were restrictions to move along the roads and crossing provinces. This may mean nothing to many of us that we can work from home, but it represented a big problem, especially for very small agricultural producers. So Argentina its economy is based on agriculture mainly. So the small producers have a very, very bad time because they couldn't sell their products, and that harmed very, very deeply their sustainability, their economic sustainability. Also, this part of the economy is very informal. They are usually not very related with banks, and they pay everything in cash and face-to-face. So that represents to them a very challenging situation. Usually their products are being sold in cities nearby, but that represents that they have to move from one province to the other province, and they could not do that. So the National Institute for Agricultural Technology, what we call in Spanish the INTA, Instituto Nacional de Tecnología Agropecuaria, had a very interesting idea, and thanks to my dear colleague Matias Centeno, who works there, he has been telling us about this initiative. They developed a network called Commercial Solidarity Network. So they created a system which included several online virtual shops using different social networks and other connectivity tools. So, and the communications were mainly made by mobile phones and data with mobiles with these small producers. So what they allowed them to sell their products, and they got also the authorization from the government to move from province to other provinces. So these small producers could be sustainable with this crisis. The interesting thing is that the International Institute of Agricultural Technology was working with them to promote the use of technology and the use of formal payment methods. That was before, but now this accelerated a lot with the pandemic. So that this has been, I think it's a good experience of how this critical situation developed into a very good development using technology and formal payment methods. If you're interested, the website of this initiative is agroemprendedores.com.ar. I will copy paste the link in the chat, and thank you very much for your attention, and thank you for inviting me.
Muchas gracias, Olga. So thank you, Olga, and
Flavio, you're muted.
sorry, I'm muted. So thank you, Olga. And let's move to the discussion on this second block. We have Mr. Eun Chang Choi from the South Korean IGF, who has signed up for an intervention. So please, Mr. Choi, you have up to 2 minutes for your intervention, please.
Disease control is very widely acclaimed by the worldwide medias, and since it successfully saved the citizens more lives. The strategy can be summarized into 3 parts. First, only our data sharing and database technology in contact tracing COVID-19. The most interesting feature of the South Korea strategy is that instead of enforcing some draconian rule or severe lockdown in emergency situation, South Korean government adopted some database contact tracing practice, comprising of the linking mobile phone GPS data and credit card transactions and public transportation record, something. And most of our policymakers took account of the tech balance between public health investigation and ensuring the anonymity and confidentiality of the personal data. South Korea's best practice study has a meaningful implication to us, but we should learn that it would be important in fighting coronavirus to dispel unnecessary privacy risk concerns. When government successfully satisfy this concern and dispel this concern, more people will welcome this measure. Moreover, this database technology should be used in compliance with the due process of law, and preserving anonymity of the individual identity is very important. Admittedly, some critics have raised a concern about too much disclosure of the personal data. Then immediately, South Korean government changed the data disclosure guideline to patient path, because to dispel the concern of the privacy, they changed it twice about the guideline and narrowed down the range of data closure. In the broad sense, all in all, database contact tracing technology have been widely accepted by Korean citizens without considerable backlash. It's very important. And it is because the entire purpose of data gathering is precisely focused on epidemiological investigation for the public safety, not other some kind of criminal investigation or something. While Korean citizens hold a strong sense of privacy, they are admitting deployment of the database technology with the legitimate reason for the public safety. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chang. So we move then quickly to the third block of our main session. And this is entitled No One Left Behind. So we have also a poll here. If Anya, could you please share the poll with us on the screen? And it will be left there for you, attendees, to respond to the poll. So the first question in this third block of our session is how to secure the deployment of online tools and services for combating emergency situations. And for responding to this first question, we have 3 speakers invited. Mr. Poncelet Ileleji from the West African IGF, Mr. Roberto Sambrana from the Bolivia IGF, and Mr. Felix Hernandez Gil from the Spain IGF. So, Poncelet, you are first, and please, all the speakers, 3 minutes each. I would have to interrupt you because we are all over our time. So please, Monsolet, the floor is yours.
I don't see Poncelet Flavio currently on a call, so maybe you can move to another speaker and I'll
Yeah, okay. Let's move to Roberto Sambrana from Bolivia. So, por favor, Roberto.
Thank you very much, Flavio. Nice to be here with all of you, colleagues. Well, I would like to start saying that as we all had in our countries, most of us started a lockdown around March. In our case, we started in 23rd of March. And of course, most of the services were affected, particularly the ones like education, very critical ones, and also the public services for the citizens. All their paperwork, all of that kind of things were freezed during that time because they wouldn't be able to continue doing those that are very important for them. Of course, no one was prepared. And despite the many advances that many of these offices in the public sector particularly, despite of them, it takes years to be prepared for a crisis like this. And it takes years to prepare all the technological infrastructure that is needed to overcome this kind of situation. And I want to share a very interesting experience coming from the local government in La Paz, Bolivia. And from the very first moment, actually, they continue working using technology as a main ally, not only working with mobile applications and web portal where they have published all of their services, but also using a contact center in a very clever way. I mean, combining IP telephony and making this available for these city hall workers and enabling them to work from their homes. So that was very important thing to share that allow all the people to concur using this kind of technology, using these channels of contacts and communications with the city hall in order not only to receive information, but to receive services actually. Just a key example of what happened regarding the amount of people that was attended. Before the pandemic, there were registered about 40 to 50,000 people that were using this kind of services. But after the pandemic, the recent measure was about 250,000 people. Well, of course, this pandemic brought very sadness for everyone in a global way. But if we can think about positive things that this pandemic bring to us, to everyone, was the speed, the boost that it provided to all this technological service using internet as the main channel of communication. Thank you very much, Flavio.
Muchas gracias, Roberto, and thank you for sticking to the 3 minutes. Very timely. So now we move to Mr. Felix Hernandez Gil from the Spain IGF. So Felix, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Flavio. In Spain, the availability of high-speed internet access network is being key in emergency situations, allowing the continuity of activities like remote working, online education, or the provision of public services. So it has been crucial to put in place measures to ensure the deployment of good internet access network. The regulation plays a very important role in this. In Spain, the regulation framework made possible that the several telecom operators invested in fiber access network, and that produced a high availability of wideband internet access. Now the fiber coverage in Spain is around 80% of the homes. There is also a universal service regulation that ensures a very wide coverage of more geographic areas and enough speed for the internet access. There is now the plan to establish a minimum speed of 30 megabits per second. And a new regulation is also being introduced to ensure the availability of low-cost offer for people with limited resources. During the pandemic, it has been also very helpful the offering of free additional resources by telecom operators that are especially useful for people with few economic resources. This includes a free additional capacity for mobile network subscription and the provision of free internet access for some users. Another key issue has been the availability of public online services that are used to help people that have been seriously affected by the pandemic. The conventional face-to-face services are totally saturated due to the high demand. So the online services played a key role in this situation. Well, and that is all from my side. Thank you very much for your attention.
Muchas gracias, Felix. So thank you very much. So another question related to this block is how to tailor our policies and actions to support the most vulnerable ones. And addressing this question, we have speaker Ms. Zeina Bouharb from the Lebanon IGF. So Zeina, please, floor is yours. 3 minutes.
Yes, hello everyone. Well, while I fully agree with all what have been said from my colleagues, but we should not underestimate also the risks that children might face when using technology. In the current COVID situation, where young people are connected online for longer time and where the internet is providing limitless opportunities for them to learn, to communicate, to socialize, to share their views, this same internet might pose significant challenges also to their safety. So keeping them safe online has become an increasingly urgent matter. In Lebanon, we urgently needed to review what has been done to protect them. A main session during the virtual Lebanese IGF was dedicated to safer internet for children during crisis. It highlighted the missing required actions and invited all stakeholders to collaborate before it's too late for our society. The biggest challenge in the current situation is to rapidly create a safer environment for children on the internet. And this is not only a national Lebanese challenge, but also a global one. Knowing that harmful content can psychologically and morally affect our children, we needed to accelerate our mission. In fact, the Higher Council for Childhood within the Ministry of Social Affairs has played a key role in establishing a national committee that works to coordinate efforts between all parties concerned with this issue. NGO with this issue. We also this same committee now is working on preparing materials for teachers, another handbook for parents in order to educate them how to protect their children from the dangers that might face on the internet. NGOs have also a role in the safety of children online, and their activities are carried out either solely or in partnership with government agencies. These activities are based on interactive techniques and focus on child protection topics and life skills, such as building self-confidence and teaching them when to say no. Close cooperation is also taking place with Cybercrime Office as Lebanon witnessed an increase in reporting cases during the lockdown. It reached around 9 complaints per day by minors. So as a result of the closure, the public prosecution offices stopped receiving complaints. The mechanisms adopted for reporting were the web page Balligh, or in English, it's report, in addition to the social media pages and the phone number of the Cybercrime Bureau. Parents were urged to immediately report any criminal attempt. With Corona, the number of complaints related to threats increased as criminals used the name of health organizations to request private information with the aim of stealing, as well as hacking smartphones, request an amount of money in exchange, reactivating phones. Internal security forces continue
Zaina,
raising
could you
our...
please try to wrap up, please?
Yes, many lessons were learned from this pandemic. Most important one is that we need to coordinate efforts for spreading awareness and to work together on updating the relevant laws and policies to include strict measures that protect our society and our children when exposed to dangers on the internet. Thank you, Flavio.
Thank you, Zaina. Thank you very much. Yeah, protecting the children is really indeed a very important issue, especially in such emergency situations. So in going into our discussion, we have Mr. Mahendranath Busgopal from the Mauritius IGF signed up for intervention. So Mahendranath, please, floor is yours. 2 minutes at most, please.
Thank you, Professor Flavio. Hi, everybody. I am Mahendranath Busgopal from Mauritius. We have heard about how to secure the deployment of online tools and services for combating emergency situations, and also how to tailor our policies to support the most vulnerable ones. Actually, we are seeing that emerging situations and new threats have arisen, and we need to look for appropriate measures to circumvent the adverse effects. As NRIs, we are looking and working with communities so that everyone has access to the emerging tools, and in so doing, keeping our promise not to leave anyone behind. The goals that we want to achieve in this part of Africa is that no one is left behind. I will take this opportunity to highlight what Mauritius IGF is proposing to do. We have embarked on a research study with a main aim to encompass all communities and, in short, everyone. This research study is looking at connecting the internet community, bridging gaps, and eliminating digital inequality. The main objectives of the study can be summarized as follows. We want to sensitize and collect information from the marginalized and difficult to reach population on the internet usage, to develop evidence-based solutions to open, accessible, and right-based internet for all, to come up with solutions of roping everyone to the process of internet, and also to acquaint participants and audiences on digital literacy and the African Union Declaration on Internet Governance. What will be the impact? In short, the recommendations will secure the deployment of tools and services, and the expected outcomes will, among other things, look at African citizens tracking progress on digital literacy penetration, and African Union Declaration on Internet Governance and Africa's Agenda 2063. Participants will also be acquainted on the concept of internet governance and how they can be producers and not just consumers in this ecosystem. We also want to go forward for empowerment of disadvantaged and disabled children using internet to meet their needs. And finally, the rural communities taking up and harnessing opportunities that come with internet access. At Mauritius, we want no one to be left behind with a main target, and we expect to encompass the following communities: out-of-school youth, homestay mothers, rural community leaders, disabled children, among others. And in conclusion, I would like to say In order to secure the deployment of online tools and services for combating any situation linked with the internet, people need to be educated and have the ability to have their personal say while accessing the internet. As NRIs, we need to allow individuals to decide what is actually happening at internet level and empower them to have their personal choice. Education is a starting point, and we can do it now. Pulling citizens all together with educational tools is a public action-oriented pledge from Mauritius IGF. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mahendranath. So let's move now to the fourth block of this main session, and let's talk about economies in emergency situations. So one of the main issues caused by this pandemic is the negative economic effects for families and individuals in our communities, considering long lockdowns that make it impossible to continue working or doing regular activities, particularly for those self-employed. So you see on the screen a poll regarding this economic question with regard to the emergency situation we are facing. So the question here is, what are good policy practices from stakeholders around the world taking advantage of internet services to support economies in those times? And we have 4 speakers for this fourth block. Let's start with Mr. Nick Wenban-Smith from the United Kingdom IGF. So please, Nick, 3 minutes, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's Nick Wenban-Smith here. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm speaking on behalf of the United Kingdom Internet Governance Forum as part of the Secretariat, which I support. The committee held a full program this year. We mirrored the United Nations global IGF themes, but we did everything through the COVID lens of the time, because this was held over a 3-day period, the 15th to the 17th of September. So pretty current, and we did that specifically with the timing of this meeting in mind. We focused on the same core themes: trust, particularly protecting digital rights during the pandemic; inclusion, and with a particular focus on the skills gaps and access, which has been exacerbated by the pandemic; data and algorithmic transparency, which is obviously increasingly important; and last but not least, the internet and the environment. So, the first thing to point out would be that overnight with the pandemic, it resulted in a remote working arrangement. I'm currently speaking to you from the second national lockdown. So pretty much we went through maybe several years of economic digitization in the space of a few weeks. Coming now to support the good policy practices, which have been essential for our economy. I think we all knew how important digital was to our national economy and also to the global economy, but this has only emphasized just how important it has been to be able to have a strong, resilient digital economy. Our internet infrastructure came under significant pressure and scrutiny, but proved highly resilient and absolutely crucial for our economic survival. So all of the investment that had been made in it paid good dividends when it came to the overnight digitization and remote working that we had to go through. And I suppose my main point is that the acceleration of these existing trends resulting in some step changes, and I specifically wanted to call out a couple of important points of policy which have helped us through this and will continue to guide us as we go through this process. I mean, firstly, our government launched in partnership with business a digital national strategy around what are we doing as a nation and how are we strategically approaching the digital world. And already we're thinking about post-pandemic, and the phrase we use is to build back better, to build back into something which is more susceptible to a low carbon environment, for smarter working, and will be more sustainable for our future and for our future generations. But with everything, there's a very pro-business and pro-innovation focus. So it's a very ambitious national data strategy also launched in order to how do we maximize the use of our national data, not just for health, but for all business purposes. It's very pro-innovation and heavily relies on industry partnerships with not just the digital tech companies, but with the small and medium-sized enterprises. We have also a very strong focus on the risks of an increasing digitized business environment and the fact that online harms do need to be addressed, and that has become a higher priority, and the government is bringing out national legislation in the last quarter of this year. But finally, it's been an immense success story because we have had, as we had our digital minister announce at our IGF, at 85,000 new online stores created in the first 4 months of the pandemic as we moved rapidly over to a digital economy. That's it from me. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Nick. So let's move quickly to Mr. Makan Faye from the African IGF. So Makan, please, floor is yours, 3 minutes, please. Try to stick to the time.
Good afternoon, everybody from Dakar, Senegal. We pay tribute to Marilyn Cage, and we thank the IGF Secretary for organizing this panel. We'll be speaking about the digital transformation strategy for Africa of the African Union, which was developed in cooperation with the UN Economic Commission for Africa, the regional economic committees, Smart Africa, to use the internet to support African countries. The overall objective is to harness digital technologies and innovation to transform African societies and economies, to promote Africa's integration, generate inclusive economic growth, stimulate job creation, break the digital divide. Some of the specific objectives are to build a secure digital single market in Africa by 2030, to digitally empower the African population with safe and secure connectivity using affordable devices, e-services, and content, of which at least 30% is developed and hosted in Africa. To build an inclusive digital skill and human capacity across the digital science, judiciary, and education. To offer massive online e-skills development program, to provide basic knowledge and skills in security and privacy in digital environment to 100 million Africans a year by 2020 and 2021, and 300 million per year by 2025. To build a vibrant sector approach to digitalization of the health sector to make sure that by 2030, 99.29% of people in Africa have a digital legal identity as part of civil registration process. The digital transformation strategy for Africa is based on foundation pillar and critical sectors, including the digital health. On cross-cutting themes, also we have digital content and applications, research and development. The digital strategy includes policy recommendations and actions on each foundational pillar, critical sector and cross-cutting themes. The strategy is further guided by the principle of solidarity and cooperation. Solidarity between African Union member states, cooperation between the African Union RECs, African institutions and international organizations, and finally linkages to Agenda 2063 of the African Union and the Sustainable Development Goals. The digital strategy is being implemented by member states starting by the year 2020. Thank you very much. Makan Faye, Secretary of the African Intergovernance Forum.
Thank you very much, Makan, for your nice contribution. So let's move quickly to the third speaker in this block, which is Mr. Carlos Vera from the Ecuador IGF. So please, Carlos, 3 minutes, please.
Carlos.
Gracias. Saludos desde Ecuador. Nosotros hemos estado en economía, comercio electrónico. Enfatizo que lo primero que tenemos que hacer es que esta palestra digital
Carlos, we don't hear you. Your audio is breaking up. Carlos, we are very sorry, but we cannot hear you.
Pasar a considerar es el Ministerio de Transporte. Esto es una cuestión del Ministerio. Ministerio de Comercio. Es uno que todavía vemos que tiene dificultades en ser asimilada por la esfera mundial y por quienes toman decisiones en estos aspectos. El segundo aspecto es la lección que hemos aprendido en esta pandemia. Ha sido clara al dejarnos una lección importante en cuanto de economía comunitaria, una economía que sea más ágil, más
So I'm very sorry, but I think we have to
más responsable.
Carlos, we can hear you. So we'll have to
I think he's speaking in Spanish.
Del internet.
So I am sorry, Carlos, we have to move on. We cannot hear you. We are already well over time. So let's try to move to our last speakers from EuroDIG, the European IGF, Ms. Mary Bagdasarian and Mr. Marcel Krumenauer. So you have both together 3 minutes at most. Please try to stick to the time. So
Yes,
please, Mary.
Thank you, Flavio. We'll try to be as brief as possible. So this year, EuroDIG, the European Dialogue on Internet Governance, also took place as a virtual event in June, just a few months after the pandemic started. And the meeting was launched with a plenary on European digital economy and COVID-19 pandemic. Initially, this session had a different focus, but as the session planning process coincided with the emergence of the pandemic, it was decided to refocus the session to allow for more timely and important discussions at EuroDIG, the Pan-European Internet Governance Initiative. The session was all about the unique state of affairs for the European digital economy enforcement in the context of COVID-19 pandemic. So the multi-stakeholder panel reflected on different aspects of the pandemic's impact on the digital economy, including security, economic, human rights, and innovation dimensions. We had the opportunity to have very lively discussions with speakers from OECD, Council of Europe, ETNO, and Area Science Park, an Italian startup accelerator, and thereby setting up the scene for the discussions at the virtual EuroDIG meeting. And I had the pleasure to serve as a co-focal point for this plenary. And now I'd like to give the floor to my colleague and co-focal point, Marcel, to share with you the brief recap of the key takeaways from our discussions. Marcel, you have the floor.
So together we focus on numerous acute developments that the pandemic has brought and ask ourselves whether they will persist after the pandemic and are ushering in a fundamental digital paradigm shift. Right now, we need to think about the type of sustainable society that we want to create and what role digital technology will play in this society. But we did not only deal with long-term issues, but we also talked about how we can master the current situation with the use of science, solidarity, and mutual support. Therefore, we need to tackle, among other things, the gap of digital divide, stakeholders, and need a forward-looking approach that promotes investment and co-investment. At the same time, we need to invest in the upskilling on ICT matters in order to facilitate improvements, as the internet has been the main channel of communication. The corona pandemic has created a certain dynamic in the economic and academic environment, which makes it necessary to always assess the current situation, both retrospectively and with a forward-looking approach. So to make things short, thanks a lot to all of you for making this come true. And please have a look at the EuroDIG messages posted by Ricardo in the chat already.
Thank you very much, Mary and Marcel. So we are arriving at the end of the session. Unfortunately, we do not have time to discussion anymore as we have to close. I would ask Enya, please, to share with us the results from the 4 polls so that people can see. This will be posted also to the list of the NRIs so that people can share with their communities.
Can you see them, Flavio?
Yeah, it's flashing, yeah? Oh. Results are, the screen is not stable yet. It flashes, oh, it's fine now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in general, in the interest of time, Flavio, let me just say, because I've seen these polls, I had more time to spend with them than you, is that it seems that our participants indeed see that digital technologies have a huge potential to support people in emergencies. And what's even more good is that on the questions where we ask whether there were any actions or policies already taken to combat emergencies, there were much more positive responses than negative. So it poses a good, I think, foundation for the NRIs to further work on exploring which policies, which actions, what has been done and what needs to be done for the next IGF cycle. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Enya. So, as you know, all main sessions are producing messages. These are being prepared by the organizing committee of this main session. This will be available to the community in 2 weeks from now. And as been done also in most other sessions in this IGF, at the end of the session, the participants, the speakers, make their commitments to the IGF and to the future of the IGF. And the commitment we propose for the whole NRIs community at the end of this session is that all the participating NRIs, the 131 NRIs, commit to continue facilitating open, inclusive, transparent, bottom-up, and multi-stakeholder dialogue on internet governance matters of people's priority. And this is the commitment we would like that all of our community of IGF, of NRIs, take as their responsibility for the following months and years to come. So thank you very much, all of you, for being present here, and then leave to Anya to conclude the session. Anya, last word.
I'm going to conclude with a huge thank you to you, Flavio, to you, Mary. It's been challenging to focus and organize this session for so many reasons this week, and you've done a remarkable job. From experience, I know it's not easy to moderate this session, especially because, see, that's my alarm for the next session. It's not easy to moderate this session because the NRIs always have a lot to say, and we are always interested to hear about the NRIs and the good practices and impressive work that exists there. But I want to thank everyone. I want to thank all the NRIs for tireless work throughout the year, all the speakers, coordinators, co-organizers, all the stakeholders that were supporting the network throughout this year. As somebody mentioned in the chat, it is true, the next session, the high-level leaders session on securities, will be in this room. So you do not need to leave the room. That's good. So we can still stay, but we still have to conclude and give time for the transition to another session. With that, thank you very much. Excellent commitment. The forum will definitely benefit from it. And everything that you've heard and you've seen from slides on this session, messages, will be shortly shared through the NRI's mailing list, will be posted also on the IGF website. Flavio, Mary, thank you so much for this. It was an excellent session.
Anya, can we take a picture, please? Anya, can you?
Yes, thank you for always reminding me.
Everybody turn on your video. Let's go, everybody, including myself. So Anya, can you take the... Anya, you are still there. We need to see everybody.
I've just done, I took a photo. Thank you, Mary.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much, Flavio, for good moderation. Thank you, Anya.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Have a good evening.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you, Flavio and Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Have a nice evening and a nice weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.